This week on You Should Be Watching, we talk about how the 2021 Oscars have been postponed. Then we debate who is the best live-action Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, or Tom Holland. And then we list the best live-action Spider-Man movies. That's all this week on You Should Be Watching. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of You Should Be Watching, and just a reminder, we are still in the middle of Play For All here at GameSpot, which is a multi-week event where you get your latest gaming news and interviews and charity live streams, which are going on for another few weeks. And so if you want to donate to Black Lives Matter or COVID-19 relief, please check the links in the description below. And now we're going to go on to this episode. We've got Ryan and Meg with me today. Hey guys, how's it going?
Going well, how are you?
Good. So first of all, question we always ask is what's on your TV? So Ryan, what are you watching?
A few things lately. A couple movies that I've watched. I rewatched Ad Astra, which I saw in the theaters. My wife hadn't seen it,
so time?
I like. Hey, if it's 2 hours of Brad Pitt like inner monologue, like just voiceovers, like it's cool by me. She seemed to like it as well. It's a kind of father-son struggle, the whole thing. I thought it was really well. It's beautifully shot. I did not, I took Greg's recommendation to kind of rewatch it, as he said last week in the podcast, but I didn't watch Lucy in the Sky, the other space movie that he kind of watched as a double feature. Instead, I also watched Ready or Not this past weekend.
Yes, I think you made the right choice by skipping Lucy in the Sky and watching Ready or Not.
Yeah,
if I'm being honest. Not that they have anything in common.
Yeah, not at all. But I had never watched it, and I heard a couple good things about it, and it was fun, horror, cool concept. I don't know the main actress's name, the lead, but she was great. Super badass. It was a fun concept, kind of a little bit of like Get Out type vibes to me. But it was really cool. But more importantly, guys, I started Hannibal season 1,
Finally,
episode 1.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you.
Yes,
the time
thank
has
you.
come.
Meg, you have told me for numerous months now, this is one of like the best series that ever kind of aired. It kind of came and went. I can't believe I overlooked it, to be honest. I just watched the first episode and already I'm like, wow, this is going to be incredible. So I'm super excited. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Netflix now, so we had been recommending this show on this show before, but now it's more accessible than ever because the whole thing is on Netflix, so just watch it.
Hell yeah.
What a perfect show.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. You're in for a ride. I can't wait to hear what you think of this season and then the entire show when you're done. Keep us updated.
Will do.
Meg, what are you watching?
So I've actually been listening to a narrative podcast, which is a little atypical for me, especially now that I'm like home and not driving anywhere. Like I usually kind of sequester my podcast to the car, but I've been listening to the Magnus Archives, which is a horror podcast that's about, it's kind of like the SCP Foundation. Like it's about like this archive of people who have like had weird experiences, and there's a guy kind of like dictating their written statements and whatnot. And then it turns into this whole huge, like, actual world-building narrative thing. It's, like, 200 episodes long. I've just been going crazy for it. It's so good.
Nice.
Which, yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know how I've just been able to sit at my computer and, like, listen to a podcast and do nothing else. But I have been, which I guess is a testament to the quality of the show. But I've also...
it must be good.
Finally started watching Bojack Horseman for the first time. Like,
nice.
When I take a break from Magnus Archives, I turn on Bojack. So I'm in season 2, I think of it. I think, or maybe it's at the end of season 2. But I'm really liking it. I don't know how or why I didn't watch it when it first happened, because it's very much up my alley, but I just skipped it entirely. So now, really stoked to be existential and sad for the next several weeks.
That's the thing. It's just like you have to be ready for that in this current climate.
Yeah, it was probably a bad choice. It is a bit of a downer, but whatever.
It's a bit of a downer, but like it's a good show. It is. I know Lucy's a big fan of that show as well. I haven't finished it though, so I still have a bit more to watch on BoJack. But I watched The Iron Giant this weekend on HBO Max. And I love that movie so much. And honestly, I think this is the only time that Vin Diesel made me cry ever, I think, in his entire career.
What a perfect movie.
Groot, too. I think Groot got me, too, at one point. But like, the Iron Giant definitely was the first.
Triple X to make you cry? No?
Tears of joy.
What about Family? What about Fast Five?
I love Mi Familia, but I've never. I did cry, but it was pretty. I'm pretty sure it was Paul Walker that made me cry, and
Okay, fair.
not Vin Diesel. Yeah, but yes, The Iron Giant is delightful. It was Brad Bird's directorial debut, and then he went on to do The Incredibles and Ratatouille and Mission Impossible. But yeah, it was really good, and I just love the message that you take away from it, which is like you are who you choose to be, and I think that's still a really good message today. But yeah, it was just really sweet and heartfelt. And I also watched What We Do in the Shadows season 1. Have you seen season 2 yet, Matt?
I have finished season 2.
Is it good?
Yes,
is it just as good?
It's better than season 1.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to keep going.
It has it's very good in the start, but like towards the back half of season 2, it gets so funny that like I think I've rewatched one of the episodes like 3 or 4 times.
Oh my gosh.
It has the spirit, I think, and I've described it this way to a couple friends. It's got the spirit of like Wet Hot American Summer in a couple of the episodes. And so it's so funny and so absurd. Mark Hamill shows up at one point. It's the best. It's so good.
Can't wait. I cannot wait to see more of it because I loved season 1. I binged through it literally in 2 days. I watched it in basically 2 sittings. But yeah, you're right. It's absurd in the best way, and it's extremely silly and fun, and I love it a lot. Ryan, have you seen the movie before or the show?
I actually have not. It's one of the things I haven't. I've heard so many great things about it too.
Yeah,
so I'm definitely going to add that to my list. With the new puppy and Call of Duty Warzone I've been playing a lot of. I honestly have sat down to try to watch things, but I'm like so distracted, and then like obviously going through Twitter and just looking at like news, what's going on. It's hard to like find time to watch those things. I was actually surprised that I sat down and watched those 2 movies that I mentioned earlier. But I think my next binge watch is going to be Hannibal, like from start to finish. I just have to. I have to finish that. I have to get in the past.
Stick with that. Yeah.
Finish that and then do What We Do in the Shadows, and then come talk
Hell
to
yeah.
me.
Okay. I trust you guys. I trust you guys now, so I gotta do it.
Perfect.
It's so good. Yeah, I highly recommend it if you haven't checked it out. Like, you can watch all of it on Hulu now, so no excuses.
Awesome.
Go for it. All right, on to This Just In. So let's talk about some of the latest news in the last week that caught our eye. So the first one is a whole bunch of new release dates. We've got Tenet moving to July 31st from July 17th. That's 2 weeks later. And also replacing it on July 17th will be the 10-year anniversary of Inception. So that's interesting. I don't know if I'd go back to the theater just to watch Inception again, though. I think I would wait.
I'm not risking it.
A little bit longer. Yeah.
A 2-week delay feels very optimistic. Like
It
that
does.
just, it seems silly.
I think so too.
I've been following the Tenet release story like since theaters in China started doing the like Dark Knight re-up in theaters to like lead up to Tenet or what have you. And even when that was happening, I was like, this doesn't seem smart like at all.
Yeah.
But they were so like all of the coverage around it was so adamant that Tenet was going to happen and it was going to be in theaters and it was going to be on time. And now I'm just like, guys, just delay it. Just like actually earnestly delay it, because I feel like it's going to be 2 weeks and then it's going to be another 2 weeks and then it'll be, I don't know. It seems silly. Just
You're right. I feel like we're going to be reading another story in 2 weeks from now and saying like, oh no, it's in August now, and they're just going to keep pushing it and pushing it.
Yeah.
But who knows? Like, they're really trying to make this happen in July. They're really trying to bring movie theaters back.
they sure are.
I think it's a little soon.
And I get it. Like, Christopher Nolan's always been a proponent of like, the movie theater experience. But like you're saying, we have to be smart about this. Like 2 weeks, like nothing really can change in 2 weeks. I mean, we see like just like restaurants and bars opening across the U.S. and like we're like waiting for like spikes in numbers of coronavirus. So it's like, I don't know, just push it back a few months and just let's just all relax, and like it'll come. It'll probably be a great movie going experience, but let's just be safe and smart about it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Part of this feels like it's an experiment. Like, this is a big movie, but not a huge movie, and they're seeing who's going to show up.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's weird. It's very strange. But as for other movies, Warner is pushing Wonder Woman, Godzilla, and Matrix 4 to later dates. So Wonder Woman 1984 is moving to October from August. Do you think October is going to be
I don't know. I feel like
an okay time for Wonder Woman? Yeah.
This movie's been so delayed already that I'm just like...
Yeah.
They should have just pushed it into 2021.
Yeah, like, just like commit to it, because I don't know. I feel like even October is is dicey. And especially with like movies like Wonder Woman, when you have like Warner has 2 massive streaming services that they could, you know, in theory premiere it on, which I think would be a really cool experiment. Like, not that I think that it wouldn't also do well in theaters, but if you want it out there, like, just put it out there. You've got the means to. It's gonna be fine, but
I mean, any of these movies, if they put these movies out on like pay-per-view or however you want to call it, you know, iTunes store, people will pay some good money to
have
see
we
these.
learned nothing
I mean,
from
you'll
the
make
success
some
of Trolls World Tour?
Yeah, you'll make some serious money if Wonder Woman 1984 is available and people can buy it at home. I mean, and then you don't have to worry about like any of like the safety precautions. Like you're fine. Everyone watching it at home, you know. I mean, but it is it's one of their tentpole. Obviously, their franchises in the DCEU, if that's even a thing anymore.
Yeah.
DCEU, but
it's the only term that we have.
They want it in
I
theaters,
keep saying it, even though every time I say it, like Mike always corrects me. He's like, "That doesn't exist. It's not a real thing." And I'm like, "I don't care."
It's just the quickest terminology to turn to for a specific release of DC movies. Yeah. It's like, because like even if you say modern DC, where does that start?
Right.
Or, like,
it doesn't make any
where
sense.
do you start that? Yeah.
DC.
I don't know.
Fine.
I'm still saying it.
I'm even okay with them doing like limited movie experience. You know, like be very cautious. Like half people in there, mask up, be safe. But then like maybe a couple weeks later, like okay, now you can get it at home if you want. If you didn't want to go out to the theaters. Not a rush of people out there. Like, just make it available to people who are being a little bit more conservative, going out in public, who only want to go out for essential things like, groceries and stuff. And then watch it at home and you're convenient in your house. And they can charge more. They can charge $50. And a family would probably pay $50 to go see what you'd spend easily, or if not more, at a movie theater.
Right.
Yeah, they were going to pay 10 ahead anyway, at least 20 ahead maybe in certain cities.
Yeah.
For an entire family to go. So yeah, I feel like they would spend the same amount of money to see the new Wonder Woman. So yeah, we'll see what happens. And then The Matrix is being pushed back 11 months, has a new release date of April 1st, 2022, and that is because production was shut down due to COVID-19. And then Godzilla vs. Kong is going to take its other spot, which was May 21st, instead of Thanksgiving this year. So Godzilla is moving to May 21st. Matrix is moving to April 2022. Any hype for either of those movies, guys?
Not for Matrix. I don't think Matrix 4 should exist.
You and Mike together.
Mike poisoned me on this. I did not have like strong opinions on the Matrix until he started talking to me about it, and I was just like, oh, you're right. I guess that's true. I'm actually kind of excited for Godzilla vs. Kong. I don't know.
Yeah, me too.
I think that all of those modern Godzilla and like Kong Skull Island and whatnot, I think they're all fun. Like, they're all fine.
Yeah.
I enjoyed them just fine.
Kong Skull Island was basically a Pokemon movie, and I'm super into it.
It was, and it's also just very bleak. Like, everything about Kong Skull Island was so like weirdly like depressing. I'm just like, all right, cool, this is interesting. So I'm excited for it. Yeah.
I didn't actually see the last Godzilla one. What was it?
King of the Monsters?
King of Monsters. I didn't see that one. The one before that I did enjoy.
Okay. It was just okay.
It was fine.
It's watchable. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine, and it's pretty. Like, everything looks great in it, which is nice. The plot's kind of a mess.
But it is definitely disappointing for the hardcore Godzilla fan. Yes. I know Kurt didn't like it, and he loves Godzilla.
For sure. Yeah.
And I totally understand his perspective there. But yeah, for me, it was fine.
Yeah.
Like, I have no loyalty to Godzilla, but I still enjoy a good monster movie.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to Matrix 4 for me, maybe I'm a little bit more excited for it just because, like, I'll watch anything with Keanu in it now. I feel like he's like you know? Like,
I'll always throw Keanu money. That's true.
It can't be that
I'll even
bad.
watch Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Yes, it can. It can definitely be that bad. But I mean, I'm still gonna see it. Like, I'm definitely gonna see it. So like, I won't trash talk it or anything. But I definitely am like.
I just think that the bar is so high in terms of what that first one accomplished. Technically and like the storytelling and the whole concept of it. It's kind of like, why even try? At this point, but I mean, if they add, I mean, that was like a long time ago. If they add all the elements that now they can use technically, I mean, it might be visually just like blow us out of our mind, out of our heads again. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's definitely possible. I'm definitely gonna watch it regardless, but I just don't know what this movie is. I have no idea.
Yeah,
we'll see where it goes. All right, the next story is that the 2021 Oscars is postponed. So, Meg, you actually wrote this. So, so Variety is reporting that they're pushing it from February 28th to April 25th, and that's due to concerns about COVID. And then this is going to affect submission deadlines, too. Do you want to add anything to this?
I mean, I think it's smart. If I'm not incorrect here, I haven't been paying super close attention to things outside of the entertainment sphere, but I think this is like the most forward-thinking delay we've had so far. As you know, like this event would not have been like into the end of February normally, and they're already pushing it back, which I think is a really smart move on their behalf. But even reading like the release that was sent out to Variety, they don't really know what that means or what it's going to look like. You know, like if a red carpet can happen, if the Dolby Theater is going to be filled to half capacity, or what. I mean, it's so far ahead and so far into the unknown that like I feel like it's either going to be not enough of a delay, or we're going to get to April and it's going to be like, this is overkill, everything's back to normal, like this was incredibly silly, now we have all this time on our hands to like fill in the old award season. So I don't know, that's where I'm at for it. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I think it's smart, though. It's better safe than sorry.
Exactly.
And like you said, it's the most forward-thinking thing, especially in comparison to what we just said, which is Tenet coming out 2 weeks later. So, yeah, I think it's a smart move. And it's just funny if you think about what actually came out in 2020 and nothing has yet. So it's just like, what's going to be nominated? I'm just still pulling for Sonic the Hedgehog to rack it up.
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
I want
Sonic the Hedgehog to get Golden Globes.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. And do we even need an Academy Awards next year?
No.
Like,
we don't.
I don't.
We really don't.
It's like the weirdest movie year ever, you know, amongst other things. So why even just be like, okay, we'll pass this year. It's been a weird movie release schedule. Everything's delayed. It's going to be like the finalists are going to be a different crop of finalists than would normally, I feel like, in every category. It's going to be like really weird.
Even with the updated submissions, like the submission deadline is now in February 28th, I think is the cutoff, which are, if you know, we're banking a lot on whether or not movies actually start coming out in the winter, I guess. Yeah. So, and if they don't, congratulations to the 6 movies that came out, and that's it. All right.
Yeah, that is assuming a lot. Yeah. So congratulations to Sonic the Hedgehog
and Birds of Prey
in advance.
Sonic and Birds gonna clean sweep.
Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey gets all the other awards.
They should just go back and fix past seasons of the Oscars instead. They should just go back and be like, oh, you know, we were wrong about 1997. Let's fix this one. Let's fix that.
Yep.
I think it would have made more sense to just like push it and be like, it's canceled this year, but we will also take it into account the 4 movies that came out in 2020 going into the next Oscar season.
Totally.
I feel like that would have made more sense, because like how awkward would it be if they like try to pull off this show and there's like this long table in the shot between the interviewer and like the people on the red carpet,
everybody in the red carpets and like Bubble Boy orbs.
They'll just
sure.
Everyone will be on Zoom.
Pieces of tape
Everyone
on
and
the
their
carpet.
publicist will
It's
be
like,
on Zoom doing the biggest Zoom party ever.
God.
Oh man, that would be so weird, and there would be so many technical difficulties involved with that.
Oh my
Imagine
God,
trying to we're trying to do that here at GameSpot with just guest streamers. I can't imagine the level of like how complicated it would be to try to get that many people involved in a stream. It wouldn't work. All right, well, we'll see what happens. The last story that we have on our list is that this is gaming related, but it's also entertainment related. Spider-Man Miles Morales is coming to PS5 holiday 2020. I'm pretty excited about this.
I can't
You guys
wait.
both played Spider-Man on PS4?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Played the hell
I love that game.
I'm kind of furious because like I'm usually very good about being a person who waits before like I don't buy consoles at launch. Like I'm not really like into it that much, so it doesn't matter to me, but this is the only thing aside from a new Silent Hill game that would have gotten me on board at launch. So now I'm like, fine, I'll buy a PS5, I guess.
It's a no-brainer. We have to.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, Spider-Man was what I bought a PS4 because I came late to the party, and Spider-Man was the one that I got the Spider-Man bundle, and it got me into playing PS4, and I was like,
I don't blame you.
Oh my God, this game is incredible.
It's so good.
This is gonna get me to buy a PS5. I guarantee it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I love it. I was already, like, I've gotten every single PlayStation, so I knew I was going to get a PS5 anyway, but this just really solidified it for me, and it was, like, the first thing that I just got really excited about when they had the entire reveal event for their games last Thursday. So I'm pretty stoked. But yeah, Miles Morales is having a good time right now. Like, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man movies, but before we even like go into the live action ones, like obviously the best Spider-Man movie without a doubt is Into the Spider-Verse.
I would actually say it's the best superhero movie like
Yeah.
ever made. Like, I would throw that gauntlet down. I think it's the best superhero movie ever.
There's absolutely nothing
I
like
think so.
it. Nothing's even touched it. Like, it was incredible to watch the story, the characters it introduced, and like the animation itself. It was even different than any other animated property that we've
Beautiful.
seen. You know, it felt like comic book come to life. It was incredible.
I was thinking exactly that. It really did. It just like just came right off the pages and onto the screen. It was magical. It was such a good movie. That brings us to our next segment you should be watching, which we are talking about Spider-Man this week, of course. So yeah, because of the Spider-Man news with Miles Morales, we are talking about Spider-Man, but we are going to ask about the best live action Spider-Man. So is it Tobey? Is it Andrew? Is it Tom Holland? And which ones are the best Spider-Man movies and why? So we already talked about Into the Spider-Verse, so we can move that aside. And we're talking about live action now, so just to get that out of the way. Otherwise, it would just be a no-brainer and there would be a winner already. So what do you guys think? First question, who's the best live action Spider-Man? Tobey, Andrew, or Tom?
Meg, go ahead.
This is so tough. I think about this all the time because it feels like, here's my thing. And I love Tom Holland. I think Tom Holland is a fantastic Peter Parker. I think that he embodies the character in a way that makes a ton of sense because he's a teenager and Tom Holland isn't a teenager, but he can play a teenager very convincingly, unlike a 27-year-old man.
Yes.
Which, whatever. But it's hard for me to compare Andrew and Tobey and Tom because it feels like they're working under very different parameters. Like, it's, you can't necessarily judge an MCU movie by the standards of non-MCU movies and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, and that token, even though I love Tom and I think that he's a fantastic Peter, I feel like Andrew Garfield's my favorite
Wow.
Spider-Man. I don't know.
Nice.
It's very weird. I don't particularly think that The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2 are the best movies of the bunch, but
this is your favorite Peter Parker.
Yes. I feel like had Andrew Garfield been given better movies, and had he been given perhaps the support and, the sort of backing of an MCU movie, he could have done a fantastic job. I just think, like, he really embodied the character in an interesting way, and I don't feel like it's his fault that his movies are not the best.
I mean,
It's true that it's not his fault. Ryan, what's your favorite?
that's a good argument though, Meg, because like all three of them are great actors, right? They're like none of them are like really poor actors. This is a tough one for me too because I feel like it's like whatever time you grew up in and the Spider-Man movie was hot during that time, like a really popular one, like everyone's gonna have a different answer. Like I understand like in more of a recency bias, like Tom Holland is amazing as Spider-Man, and I can't imagine anyone else like playing Spider-Man than him right now because he, like you said, he plays a young teenager really well. But like I'm a little bit older than like the generation growing up now that maybe is even more into Spider-Man than I was. I am right now, a younger generation. So like Tobey was like kind of our Spider-Man when we first got into like these comic book movies coming to the big screen. I want to kind of give the lead to Tobey just because like he had his own standalone Spider-Man franchise, whereas Tom Holland is kind of riding on I'm not saying he's not good, he's great, but he's kind of riding on the coattails of the MCU machine and the Avengers machine and all that kind of
built in.
Yeah, it's kind of built in, and it's like they almost was like, there's no way they can screw this up because like Spider-Man's so lovable, and then the MCU was already kind of just churning out these great movies. So I feel like we need to see, like I would love to see, I can't wait for the next Spider-Man movie because I didn't like Far From Home as much as Homecoming, but we'll get to that, the movies in a bit here. So I kind of give the slight nod to Tobey as of right now.
Sure. Is that mostly because of nostalgia or because you grew up with him or because he had his own trilogy and he carried that?
I think it's
all of the above.
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. I think it's a little bit of all of them. I mean, I think that, and I didn't watch the Garfield ones. I mean, I saw like portions of it, like when I was skipping through channels back in the day, and I didn't stick with it. I was like, this like how it looked, I didn't enjoy, and the villains was kind of a little cheesy for me. But and And then Spider-Man 3, obviously, it didn't. Spider-Man 3 was not a good look for Tobey, but I think that like the first two Spider-Man, like it was just like incredible, like you haven't seen it before, and he just kind of really, really brought that character to life on the big screen. Tom Holland's done a great job. It's a little bit different. And I don't want to, I think that I've obviously seen the more recent ones, but I don't want that to kind of skew my opinion on it. I think that if it's been a while since I went back and watched the Tobey ones, but if I went back, I'd be like, damn, he's really good Spider-Man.
Yeah. I think they were all well cast. I can't say I pick all of them, obviously, but I think they all did a great job in their own ways. And yeah, like I grew up with Tobey. I was a teenager when the Tobey ones came out. And so I do have a soft spot in my heart for Tobey and his version of Peter Parker. But I think overall it's Tom Holland, but I don't know if I'm just picking that just because like he's the one that actually feels like a teenager, and he's like his accent transition from being British to playing a kid from Queens is so impressive. And I'm just like, I'm from Queens, and it's wild. I was like, I should be able to hate it the most because I grew up in Queens, and I'm like, I can't even hate this kid. He's doing a great job. Yeah. He sounds like he's from Queens. He's great. But yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. He's just so charismatic, so much fun to watch. So I think right now, if I had to answer and just pick one, it would be Tom Holland. But yeah, I still, of course, have a soft spot in my heart for Tobey as well. All right,
I like
so
that
let's
all three of us have different answers.
There are no wrong answers here. There are no wrong answers. They're all correct.
All Spider-Men are great. People are gonna click in, getting ready to be angry to this video, and then we're all just like, we love all of them.
They're all good.
They're all great.
It's all positivity, all love on this podcast.
Yeah. They're all the best. All right, so let's talk about the best movies. So there's a handful of these Spider-Man movies, but let's talk about which ones are the best live-action ones and why. Meg, I'm going to throw it to you first, which is the best Spider-Man movie live-action.
So I have complicated feelings on this, too, because my gut instinct is to say Homecoming, because I have the most affection in my heart for Homecoming, because say what you will about the MCU, and I have very complicated feelings on the MCU at large, but they do know how to emotionally manipulate you so well. And all of my maternal, my latent maternal instincts activate immediately for baby Peter Parker and struggling under the girders, and I'm just like, no, Peter, I'm gonna protect you. And so I love that, but I also think I love Spider-Man 2. I think Spider-Man 2 is great. Mm-hmm. I think Alfred Molina's Otto Octavius is
amazing.
Probably one of the best cast villains of all time.
Yes.
Just across the board. But I'm going to go to bat for Spider-Man 3 a little bit. I'm going to say Spider-Man 3 is good.
Whoa.
Kind of.
Did not expect this.
It's not great all the way. Mm-hmm. But it's so weird, and I think the plot with Harry's amnesia makes no sense, but it's so much fun. I can't not have a blast every single time I watch Spider-Man 3. So I think if I'm gonna just go by the one that is the most fun for me to watch, the one that I'm always kind of excited about to queue up just because it's so absurd, I have to say Spider-Man 3.
Wow.
Because it's so weird. It's just, that movie should not exist, and it does, and it feels like it crept out of a pocket dimension into our world, and I think that's
it's just
Topher Grace as Eddie Brock makes no sense. It's so bad, but it's also perfect. It's so good.
It's so bad. But,
go watch Venom and then go back and watch Spider-Man 3.
Listen,
and you're
I have watched Venom and Spider-Man 3 many times. I think they are both great movies in their own horrible bad way.
I liked Venom too. I love a bad movie. Venom, yeah. I love a bad movie sometimes. Yeah.
Same, yeah. I know I've said 3 movies and my top ranking is number 1 here, but I just think that, I don't know, I think that for all the cultural impact of Spider-Man 3, for better or worse, makes it a cool thing. It's a cool cultural artifact that I think is, not unfairly, it's disparaged for the right reasons, but I don't know, I think that it's fun, and superhero movies should be fun, so Spider-Man 3 actually rules, except when it doesn't. That's what I'll say.
I think looking back that it is fun, but in the moment when it was released, I cannot forget my disappointment with it after seeing Spider-Man 2.
Sure.
I think just the contrast from seeing what a great film Spider-Man 2 was to going to Spider-Man 3 and having it just be off the rails ridiculous was so jarring to me.
Yeah.
And just completely broke my heart. I think I like said something out loud in the theater. I was like, what is happening?
Harry
At the
Osborn
midnight
dies at
showing.
the end of that movie. Like, I remembered that when I was looking at the Wikipedia for it. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a big finale moment, is like Harry Osborn just dying and Peter being like, I forgive you, and Harry being like, yep, me too, and then die.
That is
like,
wild.
Oh my God.
That is bonkers. But after he delivers one of the best memes of all time where he eats the pie, I love that shot. Oh, that's a great shot. So, personal story here, I was such a huge fan of Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. At Comic-Con, previous to Spider-Man 3 coming out, I talked to the Associated Press as a teenager and talked about how excited I was about Spider-Man 3 and how it was going to be the greatest thing ever.
And then it broke your heart.
Oh my God.
And then it broke my heart, and then I had to live with that being my top SEO result for the next 10 years.
That's
amazing.
your micro show Justice League is good clip.
Yeah,
is
that's
you saying that you're so
incredible.
excited for
That
Spider-Man 3.
I'm so excited about Spider-Man 3.
That's
It's going to be
incredible.
great.
We need to find that and print that out and get it framed.
It's everywhere.
Okay.
It's everywhere. If you search my name for like the next 10 years, it was just me talking about Spider-Man 3, and I was like, I need to bump this down a bit. It's something else.
Chastity,
I don't know
guess
what?
Guess what, Chastity? We're gonna put it in this video. I'm gonna edit it into there.
So,
Let's your lucky day.
it's awful. I had just turned 20. I was so excited about it.
Oh my God.
Oh well. Anyway, all right. Ryan, what's your favorite Spider-Man movie, or is it Homecoming as well?
Mine's a toss-up. I think mine's between Homecoming and Spider-Man 2. And I think Spider-Man kind of introducing us to the origin story, and Tobey Maguire, but then kind of having to do that again, made $1 billion, and then the second one comes out and it's even better. Like you said, Dr. Ock, amazing, one of the best villains that we've seen in any of these films. But I also really enjoyed Homecoming and Michael Keaton. I mean.
Yeah,
as Vulture.
Yeah.
I mean,
gotta shout out to Michael.
There was
Keaton.
There was a moment in that movie. You guys know, obviously, when he's driving them to the dance, and the conversation that he has with Tom Holland in the back seat. I was like, damn, this is actually just like a really good like it was like the tension was up to like level 100 and super dramatic, and I was like, damn, this is like heavy stuff. Like he's doing a really good job. I really liked Homecoming, so it's like almost neck and neck for me, but like. I think the highs of Spider-Man 2 might be a little bit better. The train sequence obviously is still in my etched in my memory as one of the best that they've had. And I think again I keep on saying this, but the more recent ones, Homecoming included like Iron Man's there. He's kind of like there's a lot of reintroduction and they kind of slowly introduced him into like Civil War and kind of had him kind of slowly get in there, and it wasn't kind of a hey, I'm back, my own movie, I'm carrying the whole thing. They kind of had like Iron Man there, and it was, I don't know, it felt a little bit cheapened in that sense for me. Like it wasn't just like a Spider-Man movie. It was like, oh, we had to get like the Avenger guy in there to kind of make sure it does really well. That kind of took a little bit out of it for me. I know I'm nitpicking here, but both of those are great Spider-Man movies, obviously. So they're my tops.
Yeah. I definitely pick Homecoming and Spider-Man 2 as well as my top two. I also like just the original Spider-Man in general. Just loving watching that for the first time and how many times I've watched it since, especially as a teenager. And it was great. Tobey was great, and I just really adored that film. And at the time, it was just like next level. I couldn't believe that I was watching a superhero movie that was this good. And around that time we had like a few others. The other notable one around the time was X-Men. But I feel like Spider-Man holds up better than
totally
the first X-Men. Yeah,
it does. Have you watched the Spider-Man trilogy recently? Like how recent? Like how recent was your last rewatch of all three of them?
Of the Raimi ones? I think 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I watched them very, very recently I think leading up to Far From Home for whatever reason. And some of it kind of doesn't hold up anymore, which is a little, like, disappointing.
Yeah,
I mean, there's, like, some visual effects. Like, somebody pointed this out, and now I can't help but unsee it. But there's, like, a moment where Mary Jane is, like, clinging to Spider-Man, and it's very clearly a dummy, and she's swinging, but they had the wind machine going the wrong way, so her hair is going counter to the direction of the swing.
Oh, God.
And just, like, little things like that where you're just like, oh, okay. Also, Tobey Maguire being a teenager is...
Yeah,
that's pretty loud.
That's a little hard to believe for some reason. For some reason, we were already used to it though around the year 2000.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Because,
I remember watching this and
every single
believing
TV
it.
show had a 27-year-old playing a 16-year-old.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's just watching these movies now and being like, oh yeah, they're in high school talking about bullies and lockers, and I'm like, you're a grown man. This is awful.
It's hard to cast like young, really good young actors. That's like one of the hardest things. So you try to get someone who kind of can pull it off. That's why I think this is totally unrelated, but like Stranger Things did such a good job casting these young actors that just blow it out of the park, and they don't need to fake their. I mean, they're probably a little bit older than what they are in the show. Maybe not even. I don't even know. But they it's hard to do that. Not a lot of, especially when you have a lot of a franchise relying on those actors to pull off a really good movie. So.
Yeah, imagine the tall order it was just to cast the 3 main leads from Harry Potter, knowing that they would have to do X amount of movies, not even knowing when the books were going to end. It's like, you just hope that they have chemistry and that they're good for that long. But it worked. It worked. But going back, I think the Tobey movies, maybe they don't hold up as well as I'm remembering, but in just comparing to the X-Men movies, they're kind of neck and neck. Yeah, because I rewatched like X-Men and X2 more recently than the Spider-Man movies, and I was just like, why did I think this was so amazing?
Yeah.
I really thought this was like next level stuff, and I'm watching it, and I was like, I think the MCU's ruined those movies for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, which is totally fine. So I guess before we close this out, are there any that you would not rewatch? Are there any Spider-Man movies that you just don't think you should revisit at all?
I'm gonna have a hot take here and say Far From Home. I didn't
I'm
like
with
it.
I'm with you, Meg. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine and it's charming, and Jake Gyllenhaal is the twist they executed with Mysterio was great.
Yeah.
But it's hollow. It just didn't mean anything. It felt like it was spinning its wheels, in the wake, especially in the wake of Endgame, that it was nothing. It doesn't feel like it's this weird empty movie.
Actually, you know what? You changed my mind. You brought up Jake Gyllenhaal. He's worth a rewatch, I think. He does a really fun job.
He's great.
I was on board with you, Meg, and then you mentioned Jake, and I totally forgot about Jake. And I was like, wait, I could give it another watch because he does such a great job with it.
He's very good.
Yeah, I would rather rewatch the Tom Holland Jake Gyllenhaal press tour than rewatch Far From Home, because them together doing those interviews was hilarious.
They were so funny. No, their chemistry was off the charts, and everything to do with him.
Yeah.
I want Mysterio to be a thing, but I don't have any confidence in the MCU moving forward from Far From Home, to actually bring any of that into the bigger picture outside of the Spider-Man pocket of things. So I don't know, it's just very but I guess I kind of broke up with the MCU, so I'm kind of unfair to it now, which I mean, it's fine. Just
how do you feel about the TV shows coming up?
I don't know, I think that Falcon, I'm morally obligated to like everything to do with Captain America characters. I like Captain America. I don't know if you can tell based on the room around me, but I like Captain America a lot. So I'm very excited about Falcon and Winter Soldier, kind of, because I also feel like it might be not great as far as dealing with Steve Rogers and how mad that made me. So, I'm excited about WandaVision too, for the most part.
Yeah.
Because it seems weird.
Yeah, I just want to see what that is.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see whenever they actually do come out, because they've all been delayed forever, I guess. So I'm trying.
So nothing's coming out this year?
I don't think so. As far as I
Yeah.
know, that
It's a
the
bummer.
Falcon Winter Soldier was supposed to be first, and they have been on production hiatus because of the pandemic, and I haven't heard anything about new release dates or production resuming. So maybe it'll drop like the first couple episodes if they have those in the can, and then they'll bring it, they'll hiatus it and bring it back when
Yeah.
they
Maybe
catch up.
they could do like a season 1 part 1.
Yeah, I
and then
don't know
drop
what's
part
going on
2
with them.
in the spring. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see. Hopefully, when I'm reserving my excitement and my concern for when we actually have more information about them.
Yeah. Well, they gotta keep people subscribed to Disney Plus for something. Because it's not Artemis Fowl, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Oof.
Oof. All right, Ryan, are you excited for the MCU shows?
I mean, yeah, I don't think they have the same like allure or hype as like an upcoming movie would be for me. But it's also a weird transition now where like they're introducing a lot of new franchises or characters or movies into the MCU now. So now it's kind of like up for grabs. Like, can they do it again? Kind of, after Infinity War and Endgame kind of wrapped up like one section of it. So, I mean, if it's streaming and we're at home and we're stuck at home, like I'm gonna watch anything MCU, anything new and fresh, and give it a shot. But I'm not like, I'm actually probably more excited for the WandaVision one than I am for Falcon and Winter Soldier, just because it is a little bit quirky and weird, and the concept's kind of a little bit far out there. I think that would be a little bit like more fun, and
it's definitely going to be more fun.
Yeah, and from the small amount of I've heard great things about Vision comics, even more recently, some of the comic runs that he's done, so that they've done about Vision. I haven't read a whole bunch. I downloaded a few to actually read because I've heard the great things about them. So if it's anything in that creative space of what we've seen on print, and they really weren't. They kind of were, both characters were kind of treated unfairly in the wrap up of Endgame. So I think it'll be fun. I think that one is probably more excited. I'm more excited about that one than the other.
Yeah,
I agree.
The comics we're talking about, it's the Tom King run. It's 12 issues. It's Tom King and Gabriel Walta.
Yeah.
Read it. It's amazing.
Ooh, I have to check
it's
that out.
so good.
What year, Meg? What year did that come out?
2017 and
Okay,
2018,
so pretty recent. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very recent. It's 12 issues. It's standalone. You don't need to know anything about what's happening in Marvel Comics. You don't need to know anything about Vision aside from that he is a character who exists in Marvel.
Yeah.
That's it. Pick it up at issue 1. Read it all the way through. It's amazing.
Awesome.
So
I might
good.
read that tonight. I want something standalone.
Yeah, I heard
good.
great things about it,
It's
so
the best Vision
I'm glad
comic
that I trust anything Meg tells me. She recommends like Hannibal, like Vision, like I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect. Just definitely read it. I think you can get it all as like one hardcover book too. So
hell yeah,
super easy to read.
Nice. All right, so Meg, what are you working on right now that people should check out?
This week is going to be all Spider-Man for me, which is appropriate for everything we just talked about. So I'm going to be actually revisiting the Tobey Maguire trilogy and the Andrew Garfield movies and picking out some fun references and Easter eggs and things that are hidden in those movies. So keep an eye out on GameSpot.com for that, because that's coming up this week.
Perfect. Ryan, you
Awesome.
want to plug some stuff you've been working on?
Yeah, I am. My buddy Greg and I are always doing American Horror Story videos, breakdowns. So we went back to a hotel. We are rewatching that season. Actually, believe it or not, I never finished that season back in the day. So this is a fun kind of
Neither did I.
Yeah, rewatch for us. So we're just going to be breaking down another episode this week. We also, I this past week, I went through the whole season and picked out the best Lady Gaga moments, because we love that new album from Lady Gaga here.
It's so good.
So we, are putting together all of her best moments. She killed it in AHS Hotel. So yeah, pretty much American Horror Story all day, every day.
Yep. For sure. All right, so a reminder that Play for All is still going on, so we've got links in the description if you want to donate to Black Lives Matter or COVID-19 relief. And also, if you want to leave us any comments or questions about this episode, you can email us at ysbw@gamespot.com. That's ysbw@gamespot.com. If you're watching right now, you can listen on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher. Or if you are listening already, then you can watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/GameSpotUniverse, and follow us on Twitter. I'm at Chastity_V, and Ryan.
I'm at Ryan Eric P.
And Meg.
I'm at Rusty Polished.
Cool. Thanks for joining me, guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Go watch Venom.
No.